where it's just nothing.
If you like go through the drafts based on like days of LPL, they like priorities are pretty different, and usually in small ways, right? It's like, hey, are we a team that values things like Kalista? Are we teams that value things like Senna, which was a much higher priority yesterday? Another champion that we really haven't seen cared about all that much today. But my God, OMG were so ready to just mow through draft, and they are just picking up what have been the highest presence champions so far on the patch: Azir, Maokai, and Sante. And I especially want to hone in on that Maokai, because the more I see him play, the more he still seems like such a nuisance, especially with how many like short range marksmen and comps we're really ending up getting, that ultimate just dissuades so many fights from ever happening and buys so much time for like these mid and late game carries to get up to their item breakpoints.
Yeah, and again, like LNG, very happy to get themselves a lovers duo in the bot side, but you have left Starry, your brand new rookie AD carry, kind of left alone on island right now. So then LNG, they can continue to force things down that bot side and say, cool, we'll take away the Senna. That means the Senna Tam Kench combination is gone. I wouldn't be surprised to see them take away the Aphelios as well and just say, cool, like you're going to have to go to something very different on this patch, because there's not really a lot left for you.
No. Funnily enough, they can take notes from the team that beat them last time and pick up the Zeri Lulu. I mean, hell, they played the Zyra Khan into the Zeri Lulu, ended up going down, and who knows, maybe that's what they bring to the table. But now it's up to LNG, and I mean, right, OMG right now showing both of their soul laners, so you really can take either look. Things like that Udyr are still open. But we've kind of highlighted the Azir matchups all day long. This is kind of one of the nice things of like, hey, we have an Azir, so are we going to get the Corki? Are we going to get the Akali? One of these picks coming through. But for LNG, I would expect Scout to go towards this. It's something that is very stable. It's something that can be reliable later on in the game. And those are like two things I usually relate with like what types of champions Scout likes to play.
Yeah, something that just has that constant presence, something that can always be a threat. That feels like the right thing to go for in that regard as well. So we'll see what OMG want to go for. Kalista Nautilus could be a setup here for them just to try and get that full front to back. And it looks exactly like that's what they're going to go for. And like you said, they're not wasting any time. OMG knew the comp they wanted, they got the comp they wanted, and they're very happy with what's left on the table.
Yeah, so now just going to have a ton of engage, a ton of aggression. This also goes back to us saying more that we wanted to see this proactive approach coming out from OMG. Now LNG kind of circling through some of their options right now. Gnar would be able to give them some pretty solid side lane presence. The Aatrox leans more into them wanting to match the skirmishes that OMG are going to be looking for. Going to be playing that bodyguard role and trying to just buy space for Scout to keep layering down those rockets. I feel like we haven't really seen a lot of good Corki performances so far in the LPL. Hell, rookies yesterday might be the best one.
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
A lot of like package usage been not really it. So hopefully Scout can come in and show us a really top tier Corki game.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Corki, it feels like when he misses the big ones, he's useless, but when he hits them, my God, like it does feel so unbelievably broken. But that is a condition you have to hit. You have to be hitting those big rockets. And for LNG, they're going to be relying on that Corki poke around those Baron pits where you want to be trying to get those health bars down before the Xi and the Rakan go in for their big all engage. But for OMG, they are as front to back team fight as they can possibly get. Really beefy guy.
Ppgod playing around and enabling him. And it feels like this might just be another roster where he has to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on the other side, OMG, they're just building. Like Starry, brand new rookie AD carry coming into this. Trying to make it, trying to make your name in a region famously known for its AD carries. You know, it feels like it's such an unfair expectation to put on you, but that is just the way this league is. It is unfortunate, but that is just the way it is. So we'll jump onto the Rift. We'll see how both these sides look into this one, and we'll see who is able to come out with a bit of an early advantage on this best of three.
Yeah, and once again, I'm going to keep my eyes on what build we have coming out from Zika on this Aatrox. I think I'd prefer to see more along the lines of what we had, like Shanji go. You know, things like the Sundered Sky, things like the Sterix Gauge, you know, be a little bit more brawly and bruisery for this type of game. I think going to lethality might be kind of hard later on when people like Cube, XiaoFang, and Ppgod get pretty large. But at the same time, with Kalista being so short range, it also does potentially give you opportunities to just find access to that Kalista and then just delete her.
Exactly. It depends on what style of gameplay you end up going, and I feel like you are able to know fairly quickly on how you're going to have to play this game. If you're able to get a bot lane advantage and the Kalista's already far behind, you could probably go for lethality knowing they're going to be pushing forward to get back into it. Or if you fall behind and you know that the Kalista's going to be pretty safe, you can maybe go for something else. But XiaoFang immediately looking for a little bit of an invade, took his Raptors nice and early, and looking for a bit of a blue as well. But wards will spot him out pretty much everywhere, and he is not going to get any information about this whatsoever. He might be turned on, though, as they look to try and maybe make a little bit of a move. But yeah, no real pressure on him at this moment because yeah, Scout and the bot lane can't really move up for him.
Oh no, and he doesn't know that there was a ward there, so he's going to take even more damage. And I think he's kind of lucky that the members of LNG, the bot laners, don't want to make their move over because they'd just be losing too much in terms of the experience department, right, to find this kill. But maybe when Smart hits level 2, it's an option to just come kill this Maokai. What is going on?
It's a push and pull. So WeiWei is spotted on the wolf camp, and XiaoFang is spotted on the blue buff.
Yeah.
So they're both just throwing each other at the, throwing information to each other without knowing that the other information is there. They must know at some point the information has already been given over to them. But yeah, the Bramble Smashes are doing some serious work to WeiWei's health bar, and with the pressure available to OMG, honestly, it's WeiWei who has to forfeit this. They don't have priority in mid. They don't have priority in bot. They cannot help their jungler if this goes south.
Yeah, it really had to be a trade-off of them willing to lose experience on someone like Mark earlier on to bring him back. But then you're opening up your Xia to be alone up against a Nautilus and a Kalista, which really isn't that good of a call. So in the end, XiaoFang definitely being the one to benefit. And wow, just across the board, I mean, really nice pressure coming out from Angel in the mid lane too.
Oh, Ppgod is there,
he
though.
might just be dead.
He flashes, doesn't land it. Scout ready with the flash himself, but that is so huge for the side of OMG, really putting in pressure onto Scout.
Yeah, I mean, the Halo Blades coming through the mid lane, the much more aggressive Azir option, and we're seeing Angel make it work. And we said, right, Angel is someone who has contended with the best of the best. Now, putting Scout behind. All that trading. Sure, Ppgod was the one who actually forced the flash, but that came from the work that Angel did beforehand.
Oh, WeiWei. Do you want to try and go for this? It looks like the Scuttle is being started, but not being finished right now. WeiWei does have Smite. XiaoFang does not. They're going to look for a little bit of a movement here. Smite comes in. WeiWei going to try and get over the wall, but not quite able to make it. He does have blue and a red. There's no buff here for XiaoFang. He's taking a fair bit of damage. Scout did get back here first, and Zika moved in. So finally, WeiWei gets a little bit of support, and they end up equaling up the camps just a little bit. But this is a weird early game, and how it's being played out right now. XiaoFang and WeiWei being best of friends.
Yeah, that's actually a great way of putting it. WeiWei really benefiting from the fact that Angel and Cube had just recalled and TP'd back to lane, to where we had Aatrox still on the map, so he was able to cover earlier on. Scout, since he got forced out of lane first, it actually meant he was able to get back first and get into the enemy jungle to make sure that there was a safe path for WeiWei to retreat from. So yeah, just very strange circumstances so far as we're leading to our first neutrals on the map. And WeiWei going to go straight for those grubs now that we have this pressure in topside.
I love as well, you got Cube going double cloth armor, and then of course Zika going for double longsword. The grubs will be alerted to that WeiWei has taken one of them away, but no one was actually moving over to him. But unfortunately, he had no real vision. He didn't know where everybody was, and he had to make an assumption that he couldn't take the rest of those. So bit unfortunate for him, but one is still better than none, and he will continue to kind of go for this one here. And yeah, despite there's been a lot of action, but not a lot of action, if you know, if that makes any sense to anyone who's been watching. It's been a strange early game.
It's like, this is like when you go to the movies and you watch, like, you know, whatever, like 20 previews in a row. We've gotten a lot of previews of action, but not the actual action itself. And we paid for that action. And let's be real, movie tickets get more expensive every year. So
they
so
do,
does
and
this
they make,
action.
and they make a lot of profit off of popcorn. I think the actual percentage of profit to cost is like more than gold or something. Like it is legitimately an actual insane, like the cost of a kernel to the actual cost of a popcorn bucket. It's crazy.
I could see it, because me, I don't really love popcorn, but I feel like I feel like I must buy popcorn at the movies, even if I don't really care for popcorn.
It's an experience.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the experience, but I don't know. American popcorn at cinemas is way different than European popcorn at the cinemas.
Oh, I know.
It's
Yeah.
like I feel like American popcorn's like a meal. It's a whole meal of like if I eat before the cinema in America, I'm not going to be able to eat anything else.
No, you're absolutely right. I remember going to the cinema a few times in Europe, and it was a different world. But, okay, Sheen, we're getting the action we paid for.
We are getting the action we paid for because guess what, Ppgod? You used your flash earlier, and you will be paid for in blood. That is first blood over to LNG, and they might be able to turn and burn out to something in the mid lane. It's still waiting on level 6 for WeiWei, still waiting for that one. But despite all the shenanigans in the jungle, he's actually ahead in levels, and now it's going to be XiaoFang looking for a little bit of a move now onto these grubs.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of the XP advantage comes from the fact that WeiWei did pick up one of the grubs. XiaoFang's still waiting on, going for anything, looks like. Is he going to try in the end, just trying to clear some vision for now. And this is kind of what we expected coming into this game after seeing the first few series from these teams, right? OMG definitely played at a bit of a more tempered pace. I think XiaoFang has been someone who was shown, he's willing to look for ganks, willing to look for these opportunities, but OMG as a whole don't really transfer pressure from lane to lane all that much yet, which I think is expected when you are still a very new put together roster and trying to figure out how to make it work. LNG, I feel like are the one that we should, again, kind of expect a little bit more in that department. And now with ults online, especially for WeiWei, the opportunities are there.
Very, very much so. You will have the flashback for Ppgod, so good timing from LNG to punish that before it came back up. And everyone's just kind of running away. I feel like when Grubs doesn't get taken, fully, it's just the one that gets taken, everything goes into a weird flux, and everyone starts to get a weird kind of pull towards the final one or two. So we're going to see the exact thing happen as the rest of the team Yeah, they're going for it, and they get both of them. Oh, no, just the one? Oh, no, they got two. No, just one. Where'd the other one go?
I just want to know how this top lane is going so bad for Cube. 20 CS down, pretty much in a pure 1v1. There's been really no intervention whatsoever. Hell, earlier, Zika was the one who walked past the turret into the jungle to help support WeiWei getting out.
Yeah, it just feels like Cube is just not really at all kind of getting the CS down or just getting harassed so cleanly underneath the tower. Right now, LNG happy with their little bit of a gold lead. It's only about 1,000. Dragon did go over in favor of OMG. They both have a grub. There's still a grub left in the pit. And we'll wait to see it. Again, this very, very slow early game coming out from both these sides. And I mean, look, LNG back in 2023, we're a very slow team. They were the more LCK-esque of our LPL teams. It does feel like they are continuing with that trend and looking to just slowly eke up an advantage bit by bit.
Yeah, they were definitely a team that definitely made a lot of pressure plays last year that wouldn't result in very many kills. So the champion kills per minute and a lot of stats like that were incredibly low. But here, both junglers at least being in the area.
Oh, hook will land. They're going to jump onto Gala here, but they may be able to turn this one straight back around. They will look for the feathers to fly. All the damage in the world, and Starry goes down. Ppgod follows him. A double kill coming in here for WeiWei as he makes his mark on this LNG roster.
Right, finding the kills. LNG really picking up. Now over a 2K gold lead at 10 minutes. And this actually is very similar to how they were last year's mark. Even gonna make sure to be a nuisance to XiaoFang, because they were a team that actually had tremendous gold leads, but not just being found through huge explosive actions. But now 2-0 and 1 on WeiWei. We were just hitting on how he used to be a big carry on a lot of rosters he's been on, and now to be able to do that here once again is they go for the engage. It makes sense, but the space you're buying with that ult coming out from the buy, and then Gala gets the feathers across everyone for the huge AoE. Just really nothing that can be done. Great counter gank coming from WeiWei to make this happen.
Yeah, and again, I feel like it was the lack of information that led to kind of a false information, if you will, for OMG. Threw in the sapling into the tri-brush behind or just in front of the blue buff on the red side. It didn't reveal the Vi, even though the Vi had just come past that. So they maybe thought, oh, there's nobody here. There's no way we're going to get caught out from this. We're free play. And it wasn't. Straight up, it was not a free play. And now you're dealing with a Kraken Slayer already built up for Gala. You've got yourself a first item for the Vi as well. So there's a lot lot to be contended with here for OMG if they want to try and go for this, and they can't contest this dragon, just full stop.
No, especially we can see Scout with the package. I also want to highlight, just going back, like even things like lane ganks and lane counter ganks, that's one thing with how the map has opened up in various ways, you know, more vision having to be thrown into river. We've already talked about mid lane, but it really just makes going through lane like all that much more viable and kind of needed. So I really like that today. We've been seeing a fair bit of that with WeiWei just enhancing it even more.
Slow burn for the moment. LNG are ahead though, about 2,500, actually a little less than 2,500, but see Zika again. I just think diving the Aatrox is never the play. Just never. If he has ultimate, it's just never the thing to go for, because I've seen it so many times where you go for the Aatrox and everyone dies. As we get another Chemsol on our Rift, it tends to be the happiest of Rifts we've had for a while. Let's check that actually if we have stats on that to see how many Chem Rifts we have during the year. And yeah, I mean look, WeiWei, he will be spotted out on this. They know he's on the bot side, and they know that he's going for this red buff. But he should recognize that he's not 100% okay to go for this, and yeah, use the blast cone augmented to get himself out, but still good vision control here from LNG, and still good opportunity for them to try and punish OMG.
Yeah, and they might be able to start transferring this up to top soon, because we have a recall coming out from Zika, and he is going the Profane Hydra route for the Aatrox. We kind of already highlighted some of the benefits. At least you're running into things like this Callista that are going to be incredibly low range, and if you get on top of, like, you're going to be dealing a ton of damage to. He's already just been winning out in the outright 1v1, so could just push that advantage further as well. And with us only a minute away from Rift Herald, you'd expect that to be a place that LNG want to play around when they have a top laner who has been generating so much pressure in this game.
Yeah, huge just point of power for them right now. As you can see, Mark trying to be a bit of a nuisance, needs to be careful. I feel like Starry might have been able to engage upon that, but it is still a recon at the end of everything, so decides to go with the recall regardless. And it's a little bit of a fun house of items for XiaoFang right now. He's got himself a Warden's Mail, a Balmy Cinder, boots. Well, it's only brown bags, so it's a bit of a hard one for him to really make a play, given the items he has. And yeah, this is why it's hard to go on recon. He just dashes away so dashingly, and they're going to be able to take themselves. So as the Void Grubs get themselves off the Rift, one apiece. Strange how both teams went for one and not any more than that. It's just an interesting conundrum to see them kind of go for such a strange kind of setup. But look, it is what it is. We need more info on the Grubs and what their power actually leads to in a game.
Right. I think just not wanting to invest the time. Not a whole lot of vision around there for either team right now. And I think a lot of teams too, I think more and more we're even going to have more emphasis placed on bot. I don't know why I needed that many mores in that sentence, but it just shows like
just how much more you needed, you know, so many mores. Yeah. You were feeling Moorish, you know. Well, I was going to say feeling Moorish is that's an Azir that died. Angel is now truly an angel as he goes to the death screen.
It's going to end up losing the Herald for this play though. So I'm a bit surprised that they didn't feel better about contesting this, but we'll get a ton more gold onto Gala. We already highlighted 3k gold up for the side of LNG, and now giving this all to your AD carry. I mean, hell, he already has Kraken Slater where Starry hasn't finished his first item yet, so he's really going to be the menace in teamfights that you need him to be.
I feel like the Rift Herald nowadays is just a tower-taking machine. It used to be, obviously, when we had two Rift Heralds, Shelly and Shirley, that you were able to knock down half the health bar of the mid turret, and then the next one you got, you were able to get the full tower, so it was worth an awful lot more. It's still very valuable, but it doesn't have that same level of guaranteed turret gold anymore. And I feel like just the call from LNG was very simple. We need the tower, we get this dragon, we get this priority over this. Dragon up in a minute, let's just go for that. We don't care about the Rift Herald.
What if it was pure BM and they're talking to voice console like, hey, watch, they're not going to drive this incorrectly? Because we have seen that a few times.
We have, actually. Yeah. They have faith in the Riot Games code to mess up and just completely ruin the charge.
Maybe that's the LNG comms right now.
I would love that. And we need, I don't know, I feel like I'm one of those people who's like, we need more villains, you know? I'm all for wholesome, but I like a villain arc sometimes. You need someone who's just like, why are you booing me? I'm right, you know? That kind of stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, we have quite a few storylines coming into the year. As they build up, we'll get even more. And I mean, this gold lead is just getting bigger and bigger. It's 4,000 now. As we move towards this next dragon in 3 seconds time, spawned up onto the rift. There's going to be the rift tail dropped. Will they charge it is the question. Ooh, Starry. Starry's looking for it. There's a lot of feathers there, so I don't know if he wanted to be fully committed to that. So yeah, just backs himself away. And yeah, this is the trade-off. You gave over the rift tail, that's fine, but you got a tower.
Yeah, now it's going to be about trying to get into river. Sadly, those rockets not connecting, but now they know they're in here. Mark.
There's a package. There is a package available for this. So you can see now the OMG were looking for a pick, and you mentioned just kind of the amount of proactive engage they have. One good hook, a good Maokai ultimate, something to just kind of build them in. But I mean, they had all this time in this river, but they didn't get any vision control. So you can see right now, OMG, they're walking into fog of war.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can find anything. Because again, they aren't quite a disadvantage.
Mark, he's on a good flank right now. They don't know exactly where he is, and they've completely forgot about him. There's going to be the package used just to try and disengage away from this ultimate. They're going to try and go in and steal away this dragon. They will not be able to get it. Mark going to try and jump in now onto the Azir, and they'll try and burn him down. Angel has to flash away. The Maokai is going to go down for certain. Cube cannot get the kill onto Gala, and slowly but surely, bit by bit, LNG are knocking down the house that is OMG.
No, and at this point, like, you know, that posture went up for so long. What I wanted to say was, I don't even know why OMG feel the need to go for this. Like, sure, they might not have an exact idea of, like, how far behind they are, but they should know they're behind, right? It felt like maybe going for a topside trade there when your wave was in a neutral spot, try and get more gold. Might have been the play. You're up against the package. You were up against, you know, some item advantages coming through, especially in that bot lane. And now you've dug yourself an even bigger hole.
Yeah, like again, like you said, like this posturing feels odd, but they wanted to try and go for something, and unfortunately with the quirky package, it just makes it so hard to move forward onto this.
Look, in the words of that one kid in the movie Holes, I like big holes. That's what OMG said in this moment. Wait, I remember his name. His name was Zero. There we go.
His name was Zero. And he liked to dig holes. Mark!
In the movie.
He's fine. He's all good. Mark nearly getting absolutely trolled by WeiWei there, but I mean that. I mean, look, OMG. It's not the OMG I've got, and I mean, I'm just.
Look, they just need to find themselves a friend like Stanley Yelnats. They haven't found that friend yet, but they might one day.
Just gotta keep digging holes. You'll find them eventually. and yeah, I mean. It's just hard to see how to really come back off of this. I will say it's a bit unfortunate for OMG in that last dragon fight that the Emperor's Divide was actually negated from bringing out WeiWei straight out because it got hit by the Nautilus ult as well. So even though he should have been dragged all the way into the front of everybody, he just got stopped halfway, which is a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of it all, it's still a 7,000 gold lead at 20 minutes, 2 dragons to 1. It feels like this is just getting tougher and tougher for the side of OMG, and the poke from this Corky is getting unbearable.
I mean, at this point, it's really so hard to even say what OMG could do. I gotta say, I also feel bad that I ruined that highlight clip for LNG that they're probably gonna put on Twitter with me just talking about the movie Holes. Sorry, LNG socials guy.
They can always mute us. They don't have to have our costing on it. They can always mute us and put on something else. But I mean, this is just becoming just bog standard. This is LNG from 2023. This is how they played. This is how they won. Quarterfinalists at Worlds. And this is how they did it. They just slowly but surely would take away a lot of the resources, suffocate you out. Like, it's a Blade of the Ruined King versus a Navori Quickblade Kraken Slayer Xia. Like, I don't see how Starry is ever going to go for it. And this is exactly what we talked about when we said, oh, I wonder how the Aatrox is going to build. We said, well, if the Kalista is behind, they're going to be able to build lethality. That's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, and you know, I'm actually curious because we just had Scout TP mid from top, and now he's recalling.
And nothing else will happen. That's just how it is. No, TPs everywhere and nothing happens. That's the kind of... it's been an odd day of LPL. We've had some long games with very few kills. We've had some interesting early games, some great moments all in all, but it does feel like this is the kind of game to round us out today, you know, to get these all out of the way early on the split.
You know, I know everyone always says, oh, you know, before Chinese New Year, LPL is always, you know, crazy. But I feel like it hasn't really been like that in a while.
No, it
definitely
really
don't feel like it's really been like that since I've been a caster, which is since 2020. Maybe like 2019, I vaguely remember stuff like that, but yeah, it definitely has been a very weird day of LPL.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's just, again, it's the shift of the tone, I suppose. You know, the world champions are over in LCK. You aspire to be the #1, and that's what you have to do. You have to kind of almost emulate what they would go for, because sometimes your style doesn't cut it. We'll see though. I do still like BLG's style of getting Knight 12 kills on a Kali, and
I don't think every team can do that.
No, it's like the whole thing of, like, you see like a Brand jungle, or you see a Misfortune Bard or something, or caught myself there. Engaged. Mark does have to go into the quickness, making sure he does not get in, so he does lose his ult for that. They lose nothing on the side of OMG, so this could be an opportunity for them at this next Dragon fight.
Yeah, walking in, even though it looks like they also use Scryers at the same time. You're right, Scout has an angle.
They're looking for an angle. Angel flashes an ult just to save his life, but they go straight in on top of the Kalista and Nautilus just to try and burn them down. The big ones are hitting, and they are landing. They are going to be able to take away this Aatrox, but it's a trade of 1-for-1. The feathers are flying. The Airy almost taking them down, and that's going to finally go in. Finally getting themselves the kill on the Kalista. OMG are on the board, but it is still going to be sole point given over to LNG.
And I'm actually very surprised that they ended up going for this. I thought maybe they would have pivoted into a Baron, because look at the minimap. It's actually OMG trying to pivot into the two-man Baron.
I love this.
They might have the damage.
They do, but Scout's trying to go over and maybe dissuade it. He doesn't have the time. He needs to figure it out pretty soon. I don't think they're going to get it just in time. He's going to spot them just at the last second. And they're going to know now that they cannot take this objective. I like the idea. I actually think they probably weren't going to be able to take it anyway. I think they were going to die to the Baron. So it's all well and good. I still like that OMG tried.
Me too. I mean, like, you know, if it could have worked out, it would have been a great way back in the game. But Scout coming in, package right across 3 members of OMG, nowhere to go. That burn being applied the whole time. And then, I mean, look, Starry left on his own. Everyone having to flash away from Zika to the top side of the fight. Sure, WeiWei gets taken down a little bit, but you just give space for Gala to run forward and shred your AD carry.
Well, looks like OMG back out on the map, looking for something else here. They might have it engaged, though. Right back onto the Kalista. A big one to the face. And no health bar left for you. Aatrox on the flank, looking to try and end this game right here, right now. The knock-up onto the Azir. They will not get the CC down onto him, but it is going to be the Cassante as the focus. And you can see the raid boss that is Zika just tanking up an absolute storm. Scout picks up a double, and that's going to be 4 kills all across to LNG. The only one left standing is Angel.
And I mean, now we're at the point where, like, our Corki is fully online with, you know, Malignance and Eclipse. Xia, you already highlighted, was already huge earlier on, and now we're going to have this Baron. They're really easily going to start being able to siege down OMG's base. And I mean, now it's just a matter of time, right? 24 minutes, 11k gold lead, Baron taken. It's been a rough one for OMG, and I think a big thing is, you know, hoping they could reset their mental going into the next one.
Zika will get jumped on, flashed in, hooked down, and you imagine he's going down here. One more. Oh, there it is. Nice little javelin toss there from Starry to finish that one up, but that is a small silver lining to go in here for the side of OMG. Let's have a look at this one again, because again, it's all about this mid lane. OMG trying to take it twice, and the fight happens twice.
And right, it's just what we've seen be the OMG bread and butter of just over-grouping towards mid, set up for the engage to come through for WeiWei, and then the flank from Zika denying any paths forward just opens up for the rest of the engage to follow through. Great knock-up coming out from Mark to make sure that even if the Empress Divide follows through, that you can still keep punishing the members of OMG.
And we talked about this a little bit in the break, and our expectations or even our thoughts about OMG as a team. And we said in their last series, they kind of just grouped mid a little bit too much. At least the last two series, they grouped mid a little bit too much for our liking. It felt like once they fell behind, they weren't really sure where to go. They weren't really sure how to kind of play around the map. And we're seeing that again today. You know, once is a coincidence, twice is a worry, and 3 times is becoming a threat, trend even.
Yeah, and you know, if they like group mid and like full sent it, I'd be like, all right, or maybe not even full sent. You know, that might be, you know, going too far the other way. But we're more proactively like fighting for vision or looking for these angles. It'd be a bit better. But it really seems like they'll group mid. They'll be like, okay, we're not really too sure we can win a fight yet. Try and get a bit of damage done onto mid tower, and then either open up for a team to abuse them and start finding gold leads by collecting waves elsewhere, stealing away jungle camps, or just giving up easy engage angles and easy flank angles like we saw in that last fight.
And now, 5-0-1 Corki, 4-0-5 Vi, 1-0-10 on Gala Xia. 3 items, 4 items on the Corki right now. Even decided to go for a GA just for a little bit of defense. It's hard. It's becoming more difficult by the second here for LNG, or for OMG, as LNG wait for this next dragon, which will be the Chemsol. Not the most prized possession in all of League of Legends, but still, look, you take every and any advantage you can. And someone like an Aatrox specifically can get huge value out of that.
Yeah, he's gonna be so tough to deal with. You can even see on the minimap right now, they aren't willing to send anyone to deal with him. Cube at some point is gonna have to go answer that wave, but I mean, right? It feels like talking about going forward at this point is kind of a mute point. It's really gonna rely on a mistake from LNG to come back from a 13K gold lead, and LNG's goal at this point, other than winning, might be like, hey, I wonder how much of a lead can we win with?
Yeah,
can we get up to like a 30K gold lead?
Yeah,
Has that
sure.
ever been done?
Look, it's technically infinitely scaling in terms of gold. We'll see now. They go straight in onto the backside. Starry doesn't go down just yet. One more rocket would have killed him off. Finally, he gets it to the face. It's a double kill. It's a triple kill coming in for Scout. Maybe even a quadra if they really want to try and give it to him. But it's going to be a pretty easy win, you imagine, after that for the side of LNG. They will take the advantage in this best of 3. As you can see, Scout finally getting full use, full value out of his GA.
Yeah, goes down, didn't care. That's why he was willing to go in so aggressively in the first place, right? Because he just went down, whatever. You have the GA, you're buying time for your team to get there. But now, Oisin, it's going to be the push for the game.
It really is. This was a slow burn, but it never really felt out of LNG's control. At home, they are looking and hunting for their first win. Definitely looking to redeem themselves from their first loss of the split. And this should be a pretty easy 1-0. OMG, they got a lot to think about coming into game number 2.
They really do. I mean, it was a rough one. Things, I mean, like very early on, right? Not a lot of action happening for either side, but it was really once we saw WeiWei finding some of these counter ganks around bot, that was really opening up the map. Hell, we saw